There is more talk to Josh Heupel maybe one day going to Oklahoma. That's right. Josh Heupel, as we all know, was an assistant coach at Oklahoma for 9 years. For the Final Four as offensive coordinator before getting fired in 2014 because he was scapegoated by Bob Stoops for not making the Johnny Manziel situation work out, even though for not making the Trevor Knight situation work out because Bob Stoops tried to force Josh Heupel to make Trevor Knight like Johnny Manziel with the RPO air raid that Kevin Sumlin and Cliff Kingsbury ran, even though that wasn't a fit for what Josh Heupel liked to do. Josh Heupel got scapegoated, he got fired, and then Bob Stoops brought in Lincoln Riley to run the exact same offense. However, he is an Oklahoma grad. He was the quarterback of the one Oklahoma team to win a national title in the last, what is it at this point? Maybe 40 years, 39 years. So there is an affinity for Oklahoma there. Brent Venables is entering the college football season on the hot seat in 2025 after he fired Seth Littrell as offensive coordinator, who Josh Heupel just brought on, by the way, at Tennessee. With all of that, Tulsa World columnist Berry Tramel went on Saturday Down South and discussed the possibility of Josh Heupel returning to Tennessee. Yes, returning to Oklahoma. Berry Tramel discussed the possibility of Josh Heupel returning to Oklahoma. Now, let's point this out. Given everything that happened, that's a real bold claim to make. Here's what Berry Tramel said specifically on Saturday Down South. And again, read Berry Tramel's work. He's with the Tulsa World. His exact quote was, if Brent Venables were fired, Berry Tramel says, restoring the tradition and success at Tennessee makes for a pretty good life. It's a pretty good place to coach football, Rocky Top. And when you've won like Heupel has, beaten Alabama, making the college football playoff, doing all those things, he's a hero in a place that's a pretty good place to be a hero in. And life's turned out pretty good for him. His career is going really well, which would say there's no reason for him to leave Tennessee. But Tramel said, if OU moved on from Venables, here's what Tramel said about Heupel. Quote, he'd be the first call, I assume, Tramel said. I have no idea if Josh would entertain the notion or accept. I have no idea. I do know this. He still has a lot of ties. Family still lives here. They got a lot of Oklahoma ties still, so I don't think he would dismiss it. I also think it would be a very popular choice. I don't know that he would do it. Like I said, Tennessee's a pretty good place to coach football. Tramel is saying up front that Heupel's in a good enough situation, so he probably wouldn't entertain Oklahoma. But he is talking about his ties there and suggesting that it's a possibility. Well, bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, life made better. Josh Heupel will not leave for Oklahoma as long as Bob Stoops there and as long as he has options. Bank on it.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank.
All right, bank on it. Josh Heupel will not leave Oklahoma unless Bob Stoops retires or he runs out of options. Or steps away from the program, excuse me. So let me break both of those down. Josh Heupel, I told you guys, he was scapegoated by what happened in 2014. I encourage you guys to all look. I'm going to post a link to it now. We did a video last year, the week of the Tennessee-Oklahoma game, on why Oklahoma really fired Josh Heupel. We brought in longtime Oklahoma columnist John Hoover, who told the full story of it, guys. And it was not a pretty story. Josh Heupel has no love lost for Bob Stoops because of that. They are cordial with each other. He returned for a few things to be honored and things like that. But Josh Heupel does not at all have any love loss for Oklahoma as long as Bob Stoops is there because of how that relationship ended. So they would have to get rid of Bob Stoops. On top of that, though, or I'm sorry, not on top of that, or if they don't get rid of Bob Stoops, Heupel has to run low on options. Now, how does he run low on options? You see this all the time. A coach's seat is getting warm in a certain place. Fans are getting dissatisfied, but he's more appreciated nationally than he is by the fan base. That could happen at Tennessee. If people think Josh Heupel's getting stale, just 8-9 win years, maybe 9-10, something like that. Maybe Josh Heupel doesn't like the way he's being treated at Tennessee. Maybe Oklahoma fires Brent Venables and wants to bring their favorite son home. Maybe at that point, Josh Heupel, fearing his options are running low and that he could enter the hot seat at Tennessee, decides, you know what, I'm bolting Tennessee to go to Oklahoma because I don't like how I'm treated here and I don't like being on a hot seat and I don't like risking that. That is the one way Josh Heupel could go to Oklahoma if Oklahoma doesn't get rid of Bob Stoops, who is directly connected to the program in so many ways. Now, what does that look like? Well, here's what it looks like. Josh Heupel already has a bit of an egg on his face with the Nico situation. This year, they don't do what they should do. They go 7-5, 8-4. But they get a mulligan because Joey Aguilar is the starting quarterback, and Joey Aguilar, and there was the whole Nico drama thing messed things up. But then they, in 2026, only win 7, 8, 9 games and miss the college football playoff. And then all of a sudden you see fans start to get restless. That's how all of a sudden things get a little stale and we start talking about Josh Heupel as a potential hot seat coach going into 2027. The other way this could happen is that this year's a disappointing year and then there's a mass exodus of players in the transfer portal and the recruiting rankings suffer in the spring of next year, at which point fans start to jump off the Heupel train a little bit. Again, this isn't him getting fired. This is just him getting a little bit of pressure put on him and feeling the heat to a certain degree. Get it? Heat to a certain degree. Sorry, dad joke. My son turned 11 months 2 days ago, and I am getting more and more on dad jokes by the day. Anyways, that he could start feeling the heat a little bit. And here's where the heat could really be felt. And people are bringing it up now. If Alex Golesh starts really balling at UCF, say Josh Heupel kind of stumbles the next couple of years. I don't mean go 5-7, 4-8, but 8-4, 8-4, something like that. And then you see an exodus. You don't see the recruiting do as well. The transfer portal struggles. And then say Alex Golesh, who has gone 7-6 his first 2 years at South Florida, just takes a huge leap forward. And the South Florida offense just starts to ball out. If that happens, you're definitely going to see a lot of possible talk of Alex Golesh maybe getting hired at Tennessee. Now, looking at not just that, Tennessee fans will start talking about it a lot, at which point Josh Heupel feeling the heat would even then more likely go to Oklahoma. I wouldn't have said this a year ago. I would have said a year ago the only way Josh Heupel goes to Oklahoma is if Bob Stoops is completely excommunicated from the university forever. Now, I would say he would go to Oklahoma if he didn't get fired for a poor job at Tennessee, but got a little stale at Tennessee and fans got restless. And this is how they get restless. 8-4, 8-4, maybe 9-3 one year, and Alex Golesh just absolutely balls out at South Florida. South Florida this year, I'm just going to point out, has a rough schedule. They could easily start 0-3. They have Boise State at home and then Florida and Miami on the road for the first 3 games. And then they also have Memphis and Navy on the road down the road. So they're going to be underdogs in 5 games minimum this year. All those are underdog games. However, Boise State at home is a huge game. If they can beat Boise State at home, even if they lose to Florida and Miami, they'll beat South Carolina State, Charlotte, North Texas, and Florida Atlantic. So that'll get them to 5-2. Memphis and Navy both on the road. Those could be 2 more losses. But if they split those, they could easily go 9-3 this year. And all of a sudden, you are looking at Alex Golesh in a different light. And if you are, and Josh Heupel sputters for the next couple of years, the pressure really builds on Josh Heupel. I mean, significantly so. Because many people still think Alex Golesh was the brains behind the success at Tennessee after 2022. He leaves after 2022, and Tennessee has not done what people thought they would do in 2023 and 2024, offensively speaking. Defensively is a different story last year, but offensively, they haven't been the same with Joey Halzle, and there's a genuine belief now that maybe Golesh was the reason behind the offensive success and not Josh Heupel. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying that's accurate, but I'm saying that type of pressure could be what would lead Heupel to go to Oklahoma if he was feeling that type of heat. I guess I wouldn't go down the 2026 road. And the reason I wouldn't go down the 2026 road is because if Heupel bolts for Oklahoma, it'll be after this year. Because Brent Venables is going to get fired after this year, I believe. So what would happen? Brent Venables gets fired. Heupel sputters to like 8-4 because of the whole Nico quarterback transition situation. Alex Golesh shocks the world, goes 10-2, maybe upsets Florida or Miami, and wins the American Athletic Conference. At that point, everybody's going to be talking about wanting Alex Golesh. Josh Heupel will be tired of that talk. Oklahoma will have an opening as alma mater. It would almost be a mutual decision for Tennessee and Oklahoma to part ways so they could go get Alex Golesh to Tennessee. That's how that would work out. It's not crazy to think about now. It's less crazy than it was a year ago. I'm just saying.